Hamas chief killing mystery deepens. How was Ismail Haniyeh assassinated? Airstrike, but where's the proof? Israel silent, fog of war thickens. Now new theory of bomb placed. Anatomy of an assassination.
A country more famous than any other for bumping off its enemies has now managed the death of its enemy number one, the Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran, Iran. But over 2 days after the killing of the Hamas chief, there continues to be total lack of clarity over the modus operandi. How was he killed? Was it a missile strike? Was it a drone? Was it some advanced technology? Or was it bombs placed before he even got into Iran? We're going to try and decode what Israel may have actually done to bump off the Hamas chief. I'm Shiv. Let's get you straight to the headlines. No trace of IAS fraud Pooja Khedkar for 12 days and running. Pune police says Pooja's phone is unreachable. 6 Babu's medical certificates under centre's radar now. Furious High Court bashes MCD, and Delhi police once again says no value for human life shown after the deaths of 3 IAS aspirants in the Rao coaching centre in Delhi. CBI takes over the probe now. Shocker in a Delhi shelter home for the specially abled. 13 children dead in just 20 days. This is a Delhi government shelter. Officials claim contaminated water the likely reason. Total of 27 children dead since January this year. Rahul Gandhi levels big charge, claims Enforcement Directorate will raid him over his Chakravyu remark. BJP calls Rahul's claim baseless. Is this just a stunt for attention? Monsoon mayhem in the hills. Rescue operations underway in Uttarakhand after 13 die in a cloudburst. Indian Air Force pressed into action. How was Ismail Haniyeh assassinated? We know that he's dead. The chief of Hamas, 10 months after the conflict began in Gaza, is dead. There have been huge crowds at his funeral procession in Tehran. But the mystery over Ismail Haniyeh's death has not been solved just yet. We still don't know for sure how he died. Was it a bullet? Was it a missile? Was it a bomb? Was it a drone? No clarity. Well, now a report in the New York Times suggests that an extensive kill plot was hatched months in advance. The report suggests that Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated on Wednesday by an explosive device or a bomb covertly smuggled into the Iranian guest house in Tehran, where Ismail Haniyeh was staying as a state guest. Remember, he had arrived there to attend the inaugural ceremony of the country's new president, and the very same night he was assassinated. The bomb had been reportedly hidden approximately 2 months ago in the guest house, according to this New York Times report. The planning for the assassination took months and required extensive surveillance of the compound. The guest house is run and protected by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, is part of a large compound known as Neshat, in an upscale neighbourhood of northern Tehran. It's basically a VVIP part of Iran's capital. Well, as you can imagine, the assassination is an embarrassment for the guards, which use the compound for retreats, for high-level dignitaries coming from abroad, secret meetings, and especially for high-value targets like Ismail Haniyeh. For him to be killed in this particular part of Tehran is a huge slap in the face of the Iranian government. Well, a local investigation and officials anonymously say the attack's precision and sophistication was similar to tactics of a remote-controlled robotic weapon that Israel used to assassinate Iran's top nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh in 2020. Was there some kind of advanced weapon technology that we still don't know anything about? Now remember, since the assassination took place a few days ago, the number of theories have been flying thick and fast. So let's show you what those theories are at this point of time. Now let me run you through the theories that have come in. Remember, we still don't, at this point of time, know for sure how Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated, but we do know that he is dead under mysterious circumstances. Here are the various theories that are doing the rounds. Theory number one, that this was some kind of a projectile. It was an Israeli airstrike at the place where he was staying in Iran. Theory number two, that it was a drone attack, either a loitering munition or a suicide drone or a missile launched from a drone by Israel into Tehran to kill this. Remember that both these first two theories would mean devastating accuracy by whatever weapon was fired. Theory number three is that he was shot dead while he was in the shower of that building by some kind of long-range sniper or through a ground raid. This appears to be quite difficult to prove. Theory number four, that he was betrayed or sold out owing to internal rivalries within Hamas that resulted in his death. Again, no clarification on that. Theory number five, factions within the Hamas have been vying for control and he may have been betrayed in that sense. And now theory number six, appearing in the pages of the New York Times and other papers, is that a bomb or an explosive device was smuggled into that very place where Ismail Haniyeh was to stay 2 months ago. It seems very, very implausible, but these things have been known to happen in the past. And that it was at this particular place a precisely located bomb was then detonated to kill the chief of Hamas. I want to bring in India Today's Ankit Kumar and Gaurav Sawant, who've been looking at all aspects of what we've seen so far. Ankit, I want to quickly come to you first because you've been looking very closely at the theories that have been coming out from Iran and in general over what happened as far as this assassination is concerned. The only thing we are in a position to say right now, Ankit, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Ismail Haniyeh is dead. Virtually everything else appears to be, shades of grey. We don't know for sure how he was actually killed. Is there any further clarity considering all these theories we've been hearing?
Well, Shiv, first, let's try to understand why there are more takers for use of an AI-driven bomb planted at a safe house theory, as opposed to the official Iranian version of a projectile being fired from the air theory. If we proceed with identifying the problems any foreign group would have in executing the option B of assassination with an aerial projectile, it would be getting a large and sophisticated drone in the Iranian airspace, which will be a problem. Now, let's break down the process of option A, that is planting a bomb in the safe house theory. From what has been reported by the New York Times and others as well, was that the device was likely smuggled into Iran in parts months back, and it was planted inside the safe house by the agents on ground. Now, all this is human intelligence, no AI required. The need for AI is on the day of execution. It is one thing really to plant a device when the building is empty. There are no high-profile guests and no events. It will be an extremely difficult task to have the plan executed on a day and a time when security would be at peak.
Yeah.
You would still need someone to ID the target, confirm his proximity, and more importantly, execute the explosion. The option of using AI could solve this part of the problem. There are solutions widely available with introduction of voice and facial recognition and a satellite in the sky. So that's what the widely held theory is now, that there was use of artificial intelligence in terms of voice recognition, identifying the target, the proximity confirmation, and with a remote control system and with assistance from satellite. Remember, whatever happened in Tehran is being keenly followed by the intelligence community across the globe. It's a lesson in counterintelligence for days and years to come.
Ankit, is it plausible that the operatives on the ground, planting these explosive devices, I'm assuming in different locations in that particular neighborhood, or at least different rooms or different houses, how plausible is it that they would have been able to carry out such a, planting operation given security in this area?
That's why the time difference comes in. If you read the report published by New York Times and later followed by others, they are saying the device was planted 2 months back. Now, this is not a residential place. It's a place where people come, they stay for some time, and they move. So what is being assumed here is that 2 months back, there was no activity. So there was no security. And the fact that these devices were smuggled into Iran through, we don't know how, but they somehow got into Iran in different parts and they were assembled locally. That shows involvement of human intelligence, people, likely Mossad agents on ground or some kind of foreign agents, who knows, we don't know that yet. But that is a plausible theory, because if you see the pattern of past operations by Mossad, one thing Mossad really values is they don't want to lose any of their assets. In this case, there is virtually no footprint of any Mossad operative. So we don't know what exactly happened, but the more plausible theory is the sophisticated use of artificial intelligence, boots on ground, credible human intelligence, assets on the ground, working together and executing this really high-profile assassination.
It's really, really incredible to think of it in terms of how complicated, how risky, the number of moving parts there would have been. But as Ankit said, that would explain the time taken to actually lay the groundwork for, for an assassination of this kind, and then bring in the technology, proximity detectors, voice recognition, facial recognition, etc. I wonder if all of this technology will ever, come out into the public domain as being the reality of what happened to Ismail Haniyeh. Gaurav, we've been talking about this, all week long since the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. All manner of theories have been doing the rounds, from aerial strikes to, now this new theory of a ground operation where the Mossad or the Israeli Defense Forces really laid the groundwork. Where do you stand on this? Because Iran is enemy number one as far as Israel is concerned. So to carry out an operation like this would have been literally the Mossad carrying out an operation of this kind in the riskiest place on earth for them.
Shiv, you're absolutely right, but do keep in mind that Israel has been doing this continuously. This is the most high-profile target that Israel has taken out after the October 7 strike in Israel, the terror strike. But before that, for over a decade, Israel has continuously taken out Iran's nuclear scientists and those associated with the Iranian nuclear bomb. They've done it for decades. They have deep inroads inside Iran. They know dissidents. They've been operating with them. And whether it's bomb attacks, of course, those are attacks that have usually taken place in public areas. Cars owned by the nuclear scientists, they've exploded. They've carried out other kind of attacks, included assassinations and targeted killings of those associated with the Iranian bomb. So they have the wherewithal, they have the inside Iran. But the fact they've done it here, I've been speaking to some of the forensic experts, and the image that has been put out and the image that we've put out on India Today, that image also shows a lot of debris lying on the first floor terrace of this building. If you look at images that were taken just last week, that building does not have that green cloth. So 1 week earlier, that building was absolutely okay. After the attack, when satellite imagery has been taken and other images have been taken, the building has that green Hessian cloth all around. The debris has fallen out. Had this been an airstrike, as Iran wants the world to believe, whether it's the IRNA news agency or Fars news agency, they're both saying it's an airborne strike, which means it's a missile strike or an airborne rocket strike that's taken place inside the room. most of the debris would have been inside the room with the force of the impact, but most of the debris has actually fallen out, which means the explosion took place inside, and with the force of the explosion, all the debris has fallen out to the balcony and to the area around. So that would lend weight to the theory that the explosive was already inside the room when the explosion took place. How it got inside, who sold out, Ismail Haniyeh, whether it was IRGC themselves, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, or was it somebody else in the system that did not want peace talks to move forward? Remember, there were a lot of peace talks that were already happening to find some kind of a ceasefire, and this man, Ismail Haniyeh, was playing a crucial role there. So was it somebody who was against that ceasefire? All of these are questions that would be answered following an investigation.
Huge number of unanswered questions, many things up in the air. The possibility of Ismail Haniyeh being sold out by the Iranians, whether it's a Qatari angle, the American involvement. All of this is now shrouded in a sense of fog. Hopefully there will be some clarity, but don't count on it if this was a Mossad operation. Ankit and Gaurav, keep tracking that. We will continue to come back to you. Welcoming onto the show two soldiers whose view I wanted to get on Battle Cry on what may have actually happened, and we can only speculate. Lieutenant Colonel Doron Avital, welcome back to Battle Cry. Thank you for being with us. He's a former IDF commander. And Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni is former Director General of the Infantry. He's also a hero of many combat operations in the country. Before I go to both the soldiers on our show, I want to just give you a very, very quick overview of the top assassinations that have been conducted by the Mossad and the Israeli Defense Forces since 1956. Remember, no country is better known for taking care of its enemies on foreign soil in a quiet and efficient manner. Goes all the way back to 1956. Lieutenant Colonel Mustafa Hafez of the Egyptian army, a parcel bomb was used to kill him. I'm going to scroll through this really, really fast. In 1962, a German scientist was killed after he was abducted. His body was never found. July 1972, Ghassan Kafani, a Palestinian credited with an airport massacre, a car bomb was used to kill him. October 1972, Abdel Zweiter, a Libyan who aided in the Munich massacre, he was shot 12 times outside the elevator to his apartment. December 1972, Mahmoud Hamshari, the PLO coordinator for the Munich massacre, a bomb was hidden in his telephone. That particular scene is very famous in the Spielberg movie Munich. You had Mohammad Boudia in June 1973. He was killed in Paris. A pressure-activated car seat bomb is what killed him. In 1988, Abu Jihad, he is Yasser Arafat's aide. He was shot dead in front of his family by Mossad operatives. Gerard Bull was a Canadian engineer who helped Saddam Hussein in Iraq. He was shot dead in Brussels at his apartment door. Ahmad Akel was a Hamas commander. He was killed in Gaza by Israeli soldiers who were in disguise, commandos in disguise. December 2000, Sami Malabi, he was a Tanzim officer, killed in the West Bank by a mobile phone bomb. Number of improvisations we've seen in the different kinds of killings, from phone booth bombs to drone strikes to aerial strikes, all of them have been brought and employed by the Mossad or the Israeli Defense Forces to handle their enemies and to eliminate their enemies, especially on foreign soil. Lieutenant Colonel Avital, I'd like to come to you first, sir. You've seen the New York Times report now suggesting that explosive devices were smuggled into Iran and placed in this particular location 2 months in advance, and some advanced technologies were used in the killing of Ismail Haniyeh. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that's possible, sir?
Yeah, I think it's possible for sure. I mean, there's the great Roman philosopher who said that luck is when opportunity meets capabilities. And I mean, capabilities, of course, of our agency were proven, as was described earlier, in penetrating Iran and in the remote killing and all sorts of technologies employed. It's important to note that the spokesman for the Israeli IDF yesterday was very clear when was asked in a press conference to say that no Israeli aircraft participated in the time frame that we are talking about in any aerial missions apart from the killing of second in command of Nasrallah in Beirut. So I think it was important to the IDF to rule out this option, and I would take them at their words. And I don't think any other aircraft could have done it. I don't think the US would have done it. So the New York Times, it's an interesting theory. It will still be a mystery, but the possibility exists. You plan ahead, you look for opportunities, you create the infrastructure, and then when the opportunity strikes, you can facilitate and work it out.
General Kulkarni, you've heard what Colonel Avital says. He says it's definitely possible if you have the intelligence, if you have the preparation, and the resources, you definitely can achieve something like this. But if this were true, General Kulkarni, this would go down in the books as one of the most complicated and risky covert operations ever.
Definitely, Chef. Let me tell you, Iran's vulnerability exposed.
Yeah.
Israel's determination to eliminate its enemies absolutely demonstrated. The involvement of human angle in these kind of assassinations is not ruled out. You have to know the exact GPS proximity location of the individual. And I'm quite willing to go with the New York thing. Reason is he's known to be occupying that guest house of the Revolutionary Guard. He's been staying there for numerous number of times. He's always been out meeting people because he's the political head of the Hamas. As a result of which, obviously, generally whenever these guest rooms are there, people who are manning these guest rooms are the ones who are absolutely confident. And if you have bought one amongst them, then the proximity, the placement, everything is possible over a period of time. And then you knock off with artificial intelligence, remote, laser, whichever means that you wish to have it, and then blow up it. Because until and unless there is someone who's guiding you, remember the time, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Everyone at that point of time is generally fast asleep. So there is all of it being planned out, and they knew it. And all of it in succession is indicative. You have Shukr, the right-hand man of Nasrullah, gone there.
Yes.
You had about a fortnight before death, assassinated or killed in bombardment at Khan Yunis there. You have Haniyeh here, as a result, conveying it to Israel, conveying it to Iran, that look, Israel isn't weak. Israel is determined, can do what it wants to do. Conveying it to Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, the world over, that look, we are determined to wipe out the Hamas leadership. We are determined to wipe out the Hezbollah leadership. The choice is yours. Either you release the hostages and come to the negotiating table after that, or else we are here, you try what you are. Israel is instigating Iran.
Yeah.
Iran, now it is up to Iran to see whether they want to respond or they wish to stay quiet about it. I personally feel there will be a little bit of response, nothing very hard, but a kind of a ceasefire will take place because nobody wants war. Everybody expects, de-escalation. And I think
the interesting thing,
the
interesting thing in this entire saga so far, it's only been a couple of days, Colonel Avital, is that, even in that press conference, Israel has not, owned this operation. They've not claimed that they carried out this operation, which has added to the sense of mystery over how this happened, who did it, what may have happened on the ground. Why do you think that is, Colonel Avital?
We call it the space of denial, and we did it before. I can tell you about the assassination of Abu Jihad, second to Yasser Arafat, basically the army general of the PLO. And Israel didn't take responsibility. It took like 20 years or so later that we disclosed that it was us who was doing it. In fact, our special forces unit, the Sayeret Matkal that I myself commanded, did it. Now, in this case, I think this space of denial allows us, or allows the Iranian to calibrate their reaction, because if Israel comes out outright and says we did it, then it would they would have to act in a certain way. And as the general said, we want to de-escalate the situation. They would have to respond. We want to contain it, also from Hezbollah perspective, and not to go to a full-blown regional war, which is nobody of the sides want in this stage. But it's still a possibility. Things can go offhand, miscalculation here, there, and we can find ourselves in this scenario also. So tense times right here now.
Very interesting. General Kulkarni, the Mossad, was seen as having lost quite a bit of its reputation after what happened in October last year during that attack, the intelligence failures, the failure to detect what was coming. I think the actions in the last few days, whether it is Fuad Shukr in Lebanon, whether it is Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, whether it is a host of others in Gaza and outside, it seems like the Mossad or the agents responsible have in some sense hit back and signaled to Israel's enemies that they are not beyond reach no matter where they are.
Absolutely. It has raised the morale of Mossad. It's raised the morale of the Israelis. It has made Iran look very, very vulnerable. It has suddenly changed because it seems that Israel is now on the front foot, telling the whole world, especially all its adversaries in the Middle East, that look, enough is enough. You can't throw us into the sea. We can't eliminate you. It's better to live and let live and live in peace. If you think you're going to fight out the Israelis, then be it anywhere. Let it be in Iran, let it be in Lebanon, wherever it is. And the Americans, much that they would want to de-escalate, much that they are putting a lot of pressure on Netanyahu not to do it. But Netanyahu has, with 58 standing ovations, been telling the Americans that they are fighting the war for the Americans, because Iranians will target America subsequently. And the Iranians also are aware, and much, I think, even it's a messaging to China that it must not mess it, because it tried to bring both Hamas and Fatah and making PLO representative, and now that knocked off the political head of Hamas is adequate. You find Mohammed Abbas also of PLO, slightly, whatever the way it might be, but the statements weren't very, very offensive. At the same time, Hezbollah been conveyed in no uncertain terms. Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iran being brought together by the Chinese meddling in the Middle East, obviously threatening the Americans of their importance in the Middle East. All this has resulted in what has happened, and I think this kind of a environment will lead to de-escalation. It will not escalate, because this kind of dependency and the fear amongst each other is a deterrence, and that deterrence alone ensures peace in the region, because nobody is indispensable. Nobody is, and everybody can be dispensed of, and that is where it is. And the Hamas leadership has been badly affected. I think the leadership
many things are up in the air. That's apart from the many questions we've been asking, the road ahead, the next few steps of what's going to happen in the region remains quite unclear. The attempt to de-escalate, plausible deniability, all these things are there, but this is going to be something we're going to look at very closely, because it could take a turn in many different ways. There are many different questions that remain to be answered, and we will look very closely at all of them. Ghar mein ghus ke mara, as they say, but kisne mara or kaise mara continues to be an outlying question that is not answered yet. Colonel Avital and General Kulkarni, thank you so much for your expert view on this unfolding story, which we will be looking at continuously right over the weekend and right through the week. Thanks so much for watching.